man up, Chris Byrd, undefeated heavyweight, and he is waiting for his moment against Ross Puritty, working his way up the ladder in the heavyweight division on USA's Tuesday Night Fights. It's time for the main event. Budweiser, the king of beers, presents USA's Tuesday Night Fights. A 10-round heavyweight bout between the elusive, undefeated, world-ranked Chris Byrd and big banging Ross Puritty.
I want to fight all the best heavyweights in the world. And I feel I'm the most feared heavyweight in the division. I know that for sure, because so many people turn me down.
Chris Byrd may be too good for his own good. With his sleight of hand delivering 25 straight wins, he scares away heavyweight contenders with the masterful boxing skills of the Olympic middleweight silver medalist in a blown-up 213-pound heavyweight body. He does what he has to win. Slips, moves, flurries, frustrates, anything but stand in and trade punches.
Oh, I can't. I'm just too big. You know, and I got to use all my skills to elude the type of punches they're throwing. So, and it works to my advantage fighting big guys that are missing. And, you know, I don't run from these guys. I just try to get out the way of their punches.
I look at Byrd as a super middleweight. He's got the skills and the speed of a super middleweight, fighting the heavyweights. But no matter how elusive you are, I mean, sooner or later you got to run into a wall or run. I mean, you can't get away with that kind of fighting, that kind of style forever.
At 6'3", 247 pounds, Puritty thinks he is that wall. He has displayed that power in explosive fashion before, duly noted by the strategizing Byrd.
I'm elusive and can get around them, but at the same time, you know, one punch by a big guy like he is can turn the whole fight around through 10 rounds. You know, I've seen him hit guys like Joe Hill in the 10th round and take him out when he was losing. So I know I have to be on top of my game through the whole 10 and not get lazy. And that'll get me really pumped up to throw more punches and be more elusive through 10 and be more exciting.
But most of the onus will be on Puritty in trying to cage the high-flying, unflappable Byrd.
Everybody else usually follows him. They don't press him. He moves, he spins around, he makes him look bad. You know, I don't plan to follow him and be another showcase for him. I honestly believe that I can force the issue and make him have to fight. I really do. You know, I think he'll have no choice but to fight.
Well, they all say that. What does Puritty bring to the table that may be different for Chris Byrd?
Oh, we've heard that before, haven't we, Al? Ross Puritty says, you know, I have faced so many big fighters, the name fighters. His last fight was with Larry Donald. Fight before that against Corey Sanders. He faces these kind of fighters because he's on an express to the top 10 in the heavyweight division. He says, hey, one of these times when I face one of these top fighters, they're going to be overlooking me. And he's hoping to get that tonight from Chris Byrd. But he does promise to put the pressure on. Chris Byrd may be the most talented person in this heavyweight division and the most feared fighter as a heavyweight. Not the kind of fear that Mike Tyson, a young Mike Tyson, put into his opponents, but a fear that people won't fight him because he might make them look bad.
Very frustrating to the heavyweights out there, Chris Byrd, and he's having difficulty now finding matches against top 10 big-name fighters. Well, he's got Ross Puritty in front of him, who's trying to crack the rankings, and Ross Puritty has the size. Let's take a look at the tail of the tape, and you'll see the difference in these two fighters. Chris Byrd actually up to 213 pounds, giving away 34 pounds to Ross Puritty. And the adage believed by Chris Byrd, the bigger they are, the bigger they are. And that's a look at the tail of the tape. Puritty also with that big reach advantage. This is a 10-round fight. The rules here in Mississippi: standing 8 count is in effect. 3 knockdown rule is in effect, and you cannot be saved by the bell in any round.
And now let's go to the blackboard, and here's the champ.
The boxing blackboard is brought to you by Meineke Discount Muffler. Chris Byrd's strengths, he is so good in the ring, quick and elusive with solid combinations. His weaknesses, open glove hitting, he lacks punching power. And small for a heavyweight, he lacks physical strength. That could be a detriment in a long, draining fight for which Ross Puritty is hoping his strengths. Powerful puncher in the ring. He is awkward and clever with good athletic instincts. His weaknesses, with his slow, lethargic style, he just has the attitude of being a tough opponent. And that could make for a full 10-round fight tonight.
From Casino Magic here in Bay St. Louis, Mississippi, this is USA Network's co-feature of the evening. This is being promoted by Banner Promotions and Main Events Fight Night in association with Budweiser, the king of beers. Our matchmaker is Les Bonanno. Is approved by the Mississippi State Athletic Commission, the Honorable Billy Lyons Chairman, Sal Taranto Deputy Commissioner. Our judges this evening, C.D. Jenkins, Paul Ceda, and Keith Hughes. Our referee for the scheduled 10-round heavyweight bout, referee Fred Steinwinder III. And now, my good friends, introducing the principals. First in the red corner, wearing the green trunks with the black trim. He tipped in at an even 247 pounds. Now this veteran has 22 wins, 12 losses, 1 draw with 20 big knockouts. From Noble, Oklahoma, ladies and gentlemen, here is Ross, the Boss Puritty. Puritty. And his opponent in the blue corner, wearing the black trunks with the silver trim. He weighed in at an even 213 pounds. Now this young man is undefeated in 25 pro bouts with 14 big knockouts. He is currently ranked number 9 by the IBF. All the way from Flint, Michigan. Ladies and gentlemen, here is Chris Byrd. Byrd.
Come on, Chris. Chris. Look, you both received the instructions in the dressing room. I want you to listen to my commands at all times and protect yourselves at all times. Touch gloves, come out fighting.
Chris Byrd sometimes makes it look so easy that the one thing he has to keep in mind going into this fight after 25 consecutive victories, that there are times he has opportunities to pick it up and to really win the fans over, a la Roy Jones with the flying leather. And he says that's something he's going to pay attention to more in this fight when he has that window of opportunity. But as you heard him, and as you see in this fight, he's giving away 34 pounds. Every time he's in the ring, he's up against a bigger fighter, and he's faced, guys who have been in contentions, Phil Jackson's, Lionel Butler's, Bert Cooper, James Thunder, that he understands he can't stand in and trade. He's 210, 213 pounds. He is a heavyweight. He can't get down to a lower weight, and he has to do what he does best in this weight class to win fights. And he knows he just can't stand in there and take the shots of a guy like Ross Puritty at 247 pounds. Puritty could punch.
And he loves fighting bigger foes. Chris Byrd says they beat themselves. He says smaller foes are too elusive, like me. That's why he likes to keep his weight around the 210 mark. Over the history of time, the best heavyweights seem to have been around 210. Well, 210, 215, somewhere around there. Ali won the championship at 212. It seems to be a perfect weight for many of these heavyweights.
Larry Holmes, 208 pounds.
But now, unlike other heavyweights, Chris says the exposure he has gotten from fighting here on the Tuesday Night Fights and some other networks, he says the exposure has really hurt his career. Now, as other heavyweights see him, they stay away from him. They avoid Chris Byrd. And I can tell you from looking at him and seeing him in his career, if I were a heavyweight, Chris Byrd would be the last on my list.
Definite catch-22 for Chris Byrd. He certainly looks bigger than 213 pounds. But, here is the moment for Ross Puritty. Chris Byrd is standing in front of him. And Puritty just right now is tentative because he is concerned at what Chris Byrd is going to throw at him in a flurry. And Ross Puritty hasn't even thrown a punch. And we've been 2 minutes into this fight.
Yeah, and this is Ross, who is nicknamed the Boss, and said he was going to attack Chris Byrd.
That he was going to dictate the movement.
It is Byrd who is moving forward, if that's possible for Chris Byrd. But one thing that Chris Byrd, he cannot allow for his fights to become banal. He does have to pick it up like you speak of.
Even his father, the one thing that Joe Byrd, former Olympic coach in Chris's corner, keeps on Chris's back about is this posing. Says don't pose. That's where you get caught. You got to stay busy. And Chris right now, though, you got to give him the first round. Just trying to feel out Ross Puritty and see what's in front of him. Not much accomplished so far in the first 3 minutes.
A lot of posing.
Stop.
That's where Chris Byrd is flying right now, or at least trying to take off. And he heard what he hears wherever he goes when he stands in there, and he's trying to get a little too cute and becomes a poser. As the bell sounds, the fighters go to their corners, hearing the smattering of boos from the crowd who want to see some more action. Well, if you're a fan of the sweet science, you love Chris Byrd. If you're into slam bam boxing, rock'em sock'em robots in the heavyweight division, maybe you're not. But Chris Byrd has to pick it up. This has been a chess match so far, taken to a degree that you don't want to see boxing take a chess match. Now Chris Byrd with a lightning fist, and you know, just like Purcell Miller in the first fight against Carl Daniels, he was so confident going in. He knew he was against a world champ, but he was confident in his punching power and his conditioning, but really never got in the ring face to face with the world champion. Now Ross Puritty felt very confident that he would be the guy who will actually become the one who cracks through against Chris Byrd, but now he's standing in front of him.
Yes.
Okay, and you could see the tentativeness in Puritty.
Look at how he's flinching just from these shots, these little bitty pitter-pat shots, little bird-like punches from Chris. You know, Chris even looks like a bird in the ring. The way he moves, like you would think a bird would fight. Well, wriggles his head around like a bird might do. He picks and pecks with his punches. You know, no hard shots yet.
If he were a bird, actually, it'd be more like a woodpecker, just pecking and pecking away, where many fans would like to see him be more of an eagle or a hawk or a falcon. But it is Byrd. He's just playing with his opposition. This forces his opponent off balance, puts them in that defensive shell. That's exactly where Puritty is already. He hasn't taken one constructive punch, and then eventually wears him down. Puritty, dangerous, but has been inconsistent. He's had the big wins against Jorge Gonzalez and Joe Hip, Tommy Morrison. He had moved around the top 10 at number 11 after the knockouts of both Gonzalez and Hip. But every time he stepped up against other names like Hasim Rockman, Michael Grant, Corey Sanders, Larry Donald, 4 fighters who are contenders, who could also box, he's always been defeated in one-sided decisions. And now he's in against one of the premier boxers in this division.
Yeah, and the reason is because he thinks too much. If he would just get in there and fight, not worry about what would happen or what it's going to look like, get in there and fight. He says that Chris Byrd is a super middleweight. I'm going to walk all over him. Well, he's not walked all over him tonight. In fact, he's giving way too much respect for the light punching Chris Byrd.
Until there. Referee Freddie Steinwinder, as you see, wearing the black ribbon, as the referees are tonight, and the officials here in tribute to a longtime referee in this area, Chester Como, who passed away last week at the age of 71. Dean of boxing in the Mississippi Gulf Coast, involved in over 3,000 fights. He's an
amateur boxing coach, referee and judge, Chester Como.
And Chester loved the sport of boxing. He is certainly missed around these parts. They had his funeral, I believe it was yesterday.
All these referees are learning under Chester, who was very proud to see what boxing has become here in his backyard.
Yeah.
Lifelong resident of Biloxi, Mississippi.
Yeah, this is part of the picking up that Chris Byrd needs to do. He can't allow for this to just drag on. He's trying to pick it up. He was expecting for Puritty to put the pressure on, but it is Puritty who appears to be glove shy.
There you go again.
Trying to throw that right hand, but Byrd is too fast. You got to throw in against somebody like Chris Byrd. You got to go with real fast punches. Forget the power. You're not going to hit him with big, powerful shots, especially not in this first few rounds. Got to hit him with the punches, get him used to being hit, make him sit still and ask for those punches, and then you bring out the big power.
What did Ross Puritty say after losing the 12-rounder to Larry Donald in his last fight? He said, "I spent way too much time thinking, not enough time fighting." Well, he's spent nearly 3 rounds now trying to outthink Chris Byrd.
And you're not going to do that with Chris Byrd. He says in the ring, "I'm thinking more. I use my experience." Not only his experience as a pro, but also his experience as an amateur.
Right now, I mean, you can make a case of seeing 3 rounds of which neither fighter has won. Chris Byrd looking to reach a comfort level and try to figure out Puritty, but coming in said he was going to pick up the action, try to be more exciting. He knows that he has been labeled as a fighter who comes in and pecks and this does not bring the fans to their feet.
Yeah, this certainly doesn't help his cause. You know, he is thinking that he is now overlooked as a heavyweight. He's 25-0, 14 KOs. They're not talking about Chris Byrd. Here's one of the reasons. Well, another reason is he's a southpaw. Another reason is he is very difficult to fight. But he's not helping his cause by making this fight boring.
In the first 3 rounds, Ross Puritty, the 31-year-old, living in Noble, Oklahoma, former defensive end at Texas El Paso. And Chris Byrd, who has the lightning quickness, the flashiness. You would think he has all the potential to bring that to the heavyweight division, a la what Roy Jones is doing in whatever division he's in
boxing.
But Chris Byrd has to elevate that to that next level. Certainly has all the tools. Certainly interesting.
And it's
both
great.
Offensively and defensively. He just does not have the big power punch against the big heavyweights. Something that he will tell you and understands. So he does it with the skill and the master of a technician in the ring, a uniqueness. Puritty now starting to open up a little more as we move into round number 4, and he's trying to get a gauge of how he can punch through a Chris Byrd. You see his biggest shot was a swing and a miss with the right hand, and Byrd, the Houdini of the heavyweights, now you see him, now you don't. He's standing right in front of you, and then he's gone after you unleash, and then gets in that quick left hand.
Still amazes me. He is so hard to hit in the head, Chris Byrd is, and even Ross Puritty yesterday saying how he was going to attack the body on Chris Byrd. Nobody who has faced Chris Byrd has gone downstairs. There's a downstairs shot from Chris Byrd. So hard to hit Chris in the chin, hit him solid. It'll take a good fighter to beat him.
Well, if this is
oh, there's a combination and a little wobble from Puritty. Yeah. You know, Byrd not known as a one-punch knockout king, but any heavyweight, 213 pounds, has power.
Hold him. Don't hold him. Let go of him, Ross. Let's go.
if this is Puritty's answer of pressing the issue, not quite sure exactly what he meant.
Which issue?
A very slow evolving fight. 1 minute to go in the fourth.
Against these left-handers, right-handers are taught to throw a real straight right hand. That should be their best punch. Right down the pike. There's a nice right from Chris Byrd. And also coming with a wide left hook. There's Puritty.
He has Byrd on the ropes. That's where he wants him, although Byrd can get very comfortable working the ropes, making his bigger opponent miss.
Byrd likes laying on the ropes and fighting. He said, I train on a 10-by-10 ring. I can make anyone miss on the ropes.
With Chris, it's almost a game. He almost likes to put himself in a dangerous position and see how he could slip out of it. And in training, he just works on slipping away from shots. To him, that's part of the challenge. And he just loved that moment.
That towel out of that ball.
Well, Ross Puritty tried to open it up in that fourth round. Here he is throwing hard punches, missing. But when you throw shots and miss, like he is doing there, sometimes it makes you stop throwing hard punches.
Well, he's certainly among the barrage of punches. Scored more shots than he has the whole fight.
Yeah, he does have some good arsenal too. He throws good punches. If he can just land some of those, you know, and sometimes against a fighter like Chris Byrd especially, you have to realize it's averages, percentage of averages. You throw more punches, you're going to land more punches.
How deceiving is Chris Byrd? You know, we've talked to so many opponents going in to face him, credible opponents. They'll say, you know, hey, he doesn't have the power to hurt me. I'll walk right through him. I'll catch him somewhere in those 10 rounds. You know, he fights like an amateur. He throws a lot of slapping punches, just going to keep the pressure on him. And then they get in the ring and find out how difficult that is.
Oh, how different it is on the other side of the ropes. Oh.
Mesmerized by Byrd.
Frustrating, angry, mad at yourself. And then you try to fight somebody else, too.
He has a Houdini-like fascination. He's an illusionist. And wants to fight anybody out there.
Work your hands free. Work your hands free. Don't push.
Says he's been in contact with all the big names.
Come on, work out of there. Let's go.
Lennox Lewis, Galata, Grant, Hyde, Herbie Hyde, the WBO champion, Tua, Donald, Rockman, Mercer. And nobody wants to fight him. Those are the smart ones. You understand what it is to be in the ring with a Chris Byrd. So Chris Byrd a little disillusioned about the fight game. Here he is at 27. He's won all 25 fights. And nowhere to go.
Throw it if you're going to put it out there. Let's go.
I'm sure there are many of you who are watching in say, well, if he wants to go somewhere, he's got to pick it up. He's got to be a little more exciting, more entertaining with those skills.
Put your hands inside. Don't hold now. Come on, let's go.
Byrd very patient in the ring, doing what he has to do. Very much aware that he does not want to get hit by bigger guys.
Those body shots hurt. Downstairs he's going, and Ross Puritty is flinching.
And Byrd just in a mechanical dissection of opponents, and does it at his own pace.
Oh, missing. These takes more energy out of you to swing and miss than to swing and hit. And Ross just missed.
Al Albert along with the champ Sean O'Grady ringside at Casino Magic, as you can see. Packed as usual in this our 26th visit to Casino Magic in Bay St. Louis.
opened the doors here with Larry Holmes and Everett Bigfoot Martin back in 1993 in January to open our Tuesday night fight season in '93. And we've been coming back the last 6 years in this fight number 26, and it's heavyweight Chris Byrd versus Ross Puritty in our main event, moving into the second half of this fight. Chris Byrd has kept Puritty at bay. The backhand by Puritty, and Freddie Steinwinder right on top of things. Puritty, who was a football player in college at Texas El Paso, always loved to fight. And in his senior year, got in the gym, no amateur fights, stepped right in as a professional, was learning as he was going. And in his first 16 pro fights, won 8, lost 8. And then that incredible evening against Tommy Morrison, in which he had Morrison down 2 times, an 8-8. Ross Puritty going up against 41-2 Tommy Morrison. He was then a top 10 fighter.
Come on, work your hands free. Let go of it,
And
Ross. Work your hands free. Come on, work it out.
that fight ended up somehow as a draw. But after that, Puritty, with the confidence, and just understood now if he just really learned how to box, might have a career out of this. Won 9 in a row before stepping up and losing to Hasim Rahman and Michael Grant. Still learning, but as he stepped up, he went the distance with the contenders. Then he knocked out Jorge Gonzalez and Joe Hip and thought he might have something going here. Moving up to number 11 in the world before losing distance fights to Corey Sanders in South Africa and Larry Donald in his last fight in April.
And he really has a lot of good skills. He's not a bad fighter. He looks slow tonight because he's in against Chris Byrd, but he's been fighting a long time. He turned pro back in November of 1989. He is a student of the game. He loves the sport of boxing. Real amiable man outside the ring. But he has just been overwhelmed by the speed of Chris Byrd.
As you heard Ross Puritty say before, quote, "I honestly believe I can force the issue and make him have to fight.
Don't lean, Ross. Let's go, punch. Work your hands free.
I think he'll have no choice but to fight." But right now, Puritty not forcing the issue. And finding himself falling into the path of all the other Byrd opponents.
All you got to do is turn it under, just like you did. Take that step to the left and bring it in free.
Once you start going, set up some good shots.
Right there on the entrance and exit of a beautiful ring car girl here in Casino Magic. 7th round of the scheduled 10-rounder. Chris Byrd on the left, Ross Puritty on the right. Puritty 22-12-1 with 20 KOs in his 22 wins. Chris Byrd unbeaten in 25 fights with 14 knockouts. His biggest wins coming up against heavy-hitting Phil Jackson and Lionel Butler, the cagey Jeff Wooden, Bert Cooper, Jimmy Thunder. Thunder and Butler fights were knockouts where he just wore down the bigger punchers. And now Byrd looks to work inside. Puritty now, he has to take advantage with Byrd up against the ropes.
You know, Byrd has lost very few rounds as a pro. The only time he had even been in trouble was in his fight with Arthur Williams. Hurt in the first round. He rallied back from that. But Arthur Williams, former cruiserweight world title challenger, and those are the kind of fighters that Chris Byrd does not want to face. He doesn't want to face those small cruiserweights that have a lot of speed. He wants to face the slow, lethargic, lumbering type heavyweights who hit hard.
You almost start thinking, what would a Chris Byrd, Roy Jones fight look like?
Wow.
Jones looking to make his way into the heavyweight division.
Work your hands free inside. Let's go.
2 former middleweight Olympian greats. That's what Chris Byrd is doing. Olympian, silver medalist as a middleweight, now fighting as a heavyweight. Chris Byrd debuted as a pro as a super middleweight, then he moved up one weight division with each pro fight until he reached that heavyweight in his fourth fight. It was 169 in his first fight, 72 in his second, 193 in his third, and then 200 in fight number 4. And the heaviest he has ever weighed for a fight, 218 pounds. He's at 213 tonight, giving away 34 pounds to Puritty. And here's Puritty with an 8.5-inch reach advantage, but he's being out-jabbed by Byrd. And Byrd just quicker with the hands getting in the shots, even though Puritty has that long reach advantage.
Quicker with the hands and quicker with the movement. Look at how Byrd spins on his ball.
Wheels away.
Yeah, in and out.
And getting his shots in.
Ended up strong.
Okay, Marcia, it's your turn. This is Marcia.
Put your hands down. Now listen, you'll hit him every time, and you did. Every time you threw it, you hit him. Jab, step, right hand under.
It is so confusing when you get peppered with a lot of shots like Chris Byrd can throw. They're not hard. They don't stun you with one shot, but all the accumulation of punches. And then Chris just kind of looks at it. Gives him that Byrd look.
One thing Puritty said before this fight, he says that he didn't think that this was going to be a fight where Byrd can walk around and smile the whole fight. Well, Chris now starting to work a smile. He is just playing with Puritty through the first 8 rounds, doing his thing, dictating the fight. Something Puritty said Byrd would not do against him, that Puritty would dictate this fight. But Puritty, we're seeing more of what we see from Puritty when he has faced the Donalds and the Sanders and the Grants and the Rockman. Just too much respect, being outboxed, not letting go.
Yeah, he really began this fight going backward.
And he has to take charge. He's down to 2.5 rounds. He has some power, good power, and he's got to let it go.
Come on, work your hand. Let go of his hand. Let go of his
Which
hand.
Ross can tell me later, that's easier said than done. Now that he's been in the ring with Byrd. The 92 Olympics,
Get off of him, Ross. Work. Let's go, punch.
2 top USA medals. Oscar De La Hoya won the gold. Chris Byrd won the silver. And he lost the finals, controversial scoring fashion, to the Cuban fighter. Last time you saw Tracy Byrd, Chris's sister, in a World Championship fight. Chris joining us at ringside, actually had to leave a little later in the fight. He just could not sit still watching his sister, who actually lost her title in a courageous effort. And her first loss in her pro career. Very good looking professional career, Tracy Byrd.
Yeah, she'll bounce back though. Chris Byrd went 290-25 as an amateur.
Work your hands free. Let go of him. There you go.
From pro back in January of 1993. He has a lot of experience.
Welcome back to Tuesday Night Fights. Al and the Champ, we're at ringside as we take a look at Chris Byrd and Ross Puritty as this fight moves on. The scheduled 10-rounder into round number 9. And so far in control, Chris Byrd looking for his 26th straight win. And only 2 rounds to go for Ross Puritty to turn it up and try to punch through. And there's the speed of Chris Byrd, lightning.
Oh, yeah, and look at these slapping shots from Chris Byrd. You know, he hits with his hand open, and he slaps with a punch. If you're facing somebody like that, you don't like it when they do that to you, but you got to give it back. You got to open your hands and slap with your punches. Take some of that power off of your punch and increase your speed. Some of the tape coming loose now from the right glove of Byrd.
Closely knit Byrd family, 5 of the boys box, as does Tracy, a world champion in the women's ranks. We saw her a couple of weeks ago with Chris in that position, unable to sit and watch Tracy. Now it is Tracy kind of bobbing and weaving herself, watching her brother in action here in round number 9.
Great to see fighters when they're watching other fighters box, because they move like they're, you know, ducking punches, and they're moving around like the fighters are.
Work your hands free.
Like they're in there.
Step back, step back.
Mom and Dad in the corner of Chris Byrd, Joe and Rose.
Work your hands
Really a
inside.
fine family. Look at this movement from Tracy.
And a standing ovation after that flurry.
Standing O.
Chris Byrd brings such a uniqueness, that playfulness. And I think he would have legions of fans if he could just turn it up to a higher level for a longer time over the course of the fight.
Make it a performance.
Right.
You know, there's a few rounds that have been interesting here, but he should be making every round interesting.
Take it out of the book of Roy Jones, out of Muhammad Ali. Bringing those great skills to their divisions.
Yeah, and it's up to him. It's up to Chris Byrd, especially at this level. And boxing is a sport where you make the change. They're telling Puritty to let him go, and I couldn't agree with him more.
Don't lean. Don't lean.
Purity's not one around.
Get off of him, Ross.
Closing seconds of round number 9. Byrd looking to turn it up as the clock ticks down.
Last round, get a little tape on that, honey. Or cut it off.
Here is Moshe. This is Moshe. We'll get it right before the night's out, dude.
Okay, Chris, now let's work this last
round, Chris.
Last round, I
Put my
bet.
cup up.
And then you get your cup.
And he's gonna come out of there.
He tired, he ain't gonna do too much.
Yeah,
but
he's gonna come out.
He gonna run. He gonna try to go to hard decibel round. How you feel? I'm gonna hit you right here with it.
Nine down, 1 to go in this 10-round heavyweight bout. Chris Byrd doing all that he is out to do. Ross Puritty saying he was going to press, and we're still waiting to see that. Taken out of his game by Chris Byrd, as has happened to many a big heavyweight. Byrd just feeling good, still in the playful mood.
All right, let's go. Work your hands free. Get your head off of him.
And now Puritty going to the body. Byrd giving it to him. And just frustrating him more. Oh, cracking upstairs, though.
Let's go, work. Punch your hands in there.
Chris Byrd has been down. Actually, that was in the Arthur Williams fight against the cruiserweight. 1 minute gone in this final round. Chris Byrd is ranked number 9 by the IBF, number 5 by the WBO.
Work your hands free inside. Come on, work.
But
work,
the
push.
other
Let's go, work. Punch.
organizations
Punch out of there. Let's go.
not taken by Chris Byrd, not ranked by the WBA, and number 17 by the WBC.
Work your hands free.
Not overwhelmed with his skills in this division. No knockdowns in this fight. Halfway through the 10th round. And a very quiet crowd. Chris Byrd has to get this crowd out of their seats.
Yeah, he wants to be on the forefront of the boxing mind, the world's mind. He wants to do something to make people remember him.
Terrific talent. You could see him displaying his skills here. Ross Puritty, as Byrd knew, terrific opponent for him, but he's got to get it to the higher level. He's got to score with his terrific super combinations. He's got to be alive for 10 rounds.
Chris Byrd had been hampered a bit, stepped up a bit in this heavyweight class, but great expectations. Now he's coming back a little bit in a fight with Ross Puritty, and he may be a little bit let down himself.
But he offers a terrific contrast in the division.
He is unlike any other fighter in the division, unlike any other fighter in boxing.
Can make for some very interesting matchups with the top contenders.
But why would they want to fight him?
And a big finish for Chris Byrd. Ross Puritty,
you see even on his
hardly
face.
a punch.
You even see it on Chris Byrd's face. Bird's disappointed too.
Oh my yes.
As we await the decision, let's take a look at tonight's Power Punch, brought to you by Budweiser. Fresh, pure, natural, proud to be your Bud. And we go back to the first fight in the flurry by former world champ Carl Daniels, who won a unanimous decision from hard punching Purcell Miller. And Daniels, with that quickness, knocking Miller off balance and providing us with that flurry that goes down as tonight's Budweiser Power Punch.
All glory to Jesus.
Chris Byrd ready to hear exactly what scores have led him to his 26th consecutive victory as a heavyweight. Tabulations being made. Ross Puritty, who gets another shot at a top 10 contender. You know, he's fighting all these top 10 guys. Chris Byrd would love to get the fights Puritty has gotten. Well, we're ready for the decision. Here's Ed Darian in the ring.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the Grand Casino here in Bay St. Louis, Mississippi, I've got the scoring, and here it is. Judges C.D. Jenkins and Paul Sita each score 99-91, while Judge Keith Hughes, he scored it 190. All for the winner by unanimous decision, and still undefeated, Chris Byrd.
Chris Byrd nearly pitching the shutout. 190 and 99-91 on 2 of the cards, and Chris Byrd goes to 26-0 all over Ross Puritty in tonight's main event. And that wraps